Hello, guys. What is happening? And welcome to tonight's live stream. I didn't actually think that I was going to be doing a live stream tonight, and then there was a couple of bits and pieces that I wanted to go over. Some of which are quite controversial, even though I don't know why, because they're on there, and the information is out there in the public view. But we're going to go through that. This will be available on Spotify. It's Wednesday, March 9th for anybody who's listening on Spotify. I just want to let you guys know that at the end of this month, I'm going to be going back to the UK for a couple of weeks. So, sorry, I'm just trying to adjust the camera. So, at the end of this month, I'm going to be going back to the UK for a couple of weeks. So, I will be doing live streams there and I'll be shooting videos, but I'll probably switch to one video a week at some point, and we'll just work it like that. But anyway, that's going to be coming, and I'll show you what's going on there. And I haven't been back since before this all started. So I haven't been back since May 2019. So I have no idea what to expect there. So anyway, we're going to dig right into this and go through this. First thing we're going to look at is how the government just doesn't give a flying. I want to use profanity, but I'm going to refrain from using profanity so we don't get shut off. I'm not really sure how that works on live streams. But anyway, so basically, one of the premiers, he was saying that they should defer the carbon tax. And of course, the federal government's come out and said, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to jack it up in April. And there's a lot of going back and forth between different provinces. It's interesting, and I just want to say before we get started, I think we're close to 2,000 subscribers now, which just blows my mind. I swear we only hit 1,000 subscribers last month or the month before, so that's absolutely insane. So if you are that person that clicks the subscribe button and then you refresh the video and it's 2,000 subscribers, leave a comment below. But anyway, it might not be tonight, might not be this week, might not be this month, but it's just insane the amount of attention the channel seems to be getting right now. So hey Trent, how you doing? So all right, so we got some people in here, so let's go through this. So basically, it's basically saying about them trying to get this through to get rid of the carbon tax. It's a change that would require the federal government's approval, since by law it's Ottawa that sets the rate. And that approval isn't coming. Hey, presto. Of course, it isn't coming. Federal Intergovernmental Affairs Minister. What a title is that? That is one hell of a title, isn't it? It really is. Um, Dominic LeBlanc told CBC News the federal carbon pricing standard will stay the same and increase as scheduled at the end of this month. So, if not to add insult to injury, the federal government is going to increase the carbon tax at the end of this month. They've literally said today that they're going to do that. So, with everything that's going on right now that's being caused by the government, and trust me, we're going to be going into some nuance about Russia, Ukraine that I don't think I've seen anybody cover, because I would argue, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to cover it. Slightly controversial. This video may get took down afterwards, but that's okay. I'll appeal it with YouTube, and I'm sure they'll let the video pass because we're actually using Wikipedia, which is, I mean, it it's open to interpretation in a way, Wikipedia, but it's sort of a reliable source because mostly that's just compiling sources from elsewhere. But anyway, without getting into that too far and spoiling the rest of the video, we'll cover that at the end. So basically, we have no intention of changing the planned increase to take effect on April 1st. Isn't that just a smack in the face? So, provinces like Alberta are getting rid of the fuel duty, and that's mainly because they can, because they're making so much money on royalties from oil right now. But I've actually included a link in the description And hey, hello, fellow rebel, says Anthony. I've actually included a link which is going to be in the description. Go watch George Gammon's latest video on gold, and he also talks about oil. It's incredibly insightful, all the things that he's saying in that, and it gives you a different perspective on what could happen to oil production prices in Canada and the US in particular, because they are the ones that basically need the highest price because their cost of production is the highest. So, anyway, the New Brunswick government has a whole series of tools, blah, blah, blah. He said it's better. This is interesting. So he said it's better to simply send people checks, basically stimulus, allowing the province to target those who need the help most if it chooses to. The increase in the price of gasoline is a strain on some families, no kidding, and not others, and more targeted approaches to ensure that those who need to support get it may be much more effective for governments to pursue. So, interestingly enough, Florida Ray, if you're on here, get in the chat, but basically one of the fellow subscribers on this channel and fellow rebel capitalists kindly made this fantastic video that I'm going to include in an upcoming video. And what I'm going to do is show this side of the coin. You're going to see the insanity of what is going on here in Calgary for people that just want to save, 5, 10 cents a liter. So you're going to see that. I don't know when that video will be edited and out, but I'm going to be filming it this weekend. But you're just going to be shocked at really what's going on. We're going to go to a local Costco because obviously we all know they discount the fuel. And you're just going to see the absolute insanity that is going on. And right next door, guess what? They're building a ton of commercial real estate. So it's yeah, we need to get George Gammon on this channel. Yeah, no, you're right, Trent. Yeah, you know what? I was thinking about asking him. I may ask him if he wants to come on because I think it would be. I don't want to make myself look like an idiot. That's why I haven't asked him. I'd be like, that guy would really show me up good and proper because I don't claim to be like the most intelligent person in the room by any stretch of the imagination. But George is, incredibly intelligent guy. And I was lucky enough to have the pleasure of meeting him back in December when I was in Arizona. So was really good to touch base with him. So basically, they're yeah, so they're just talking about the gas and how much it is, 11 cents a liter, and it's due to go up 2 cents, which isn't really much when you think about it, but still, it's just adding to the already ridiculous prices, and it just goes to show that the government just does not care about me or you guys. They really don't care, and this just shows it. Um, Alberta announced this week it's suspending its provincial gas tax completely and also providing ratepayers in the province with a $150 stimmy check for their electricity bills. I don't know about you, but the increase that we saw in electricity bills, that wouldn't even cover a month's worth of increase. So really just a drop in the ocean. But I suppose it's something, and it's going to everybody as well. Even all the rich people that have tons of money, it's going to everybody. So yeah, it's just blanket stimulus basically. Um, and yeah, so he basically points out that Alberta is a wash in royalty revenue. And I totally agree with that. So let's move on real quick. I want to whiz through this so we can get to other important stuff. And we're just going to go over this with the real estate market. Canadian real estate markets are finally seeing more sellers and inventory, RBC says a bank. Major real estate markets see buyers drop faster than sellers. So you can see here that basically you've got inventories that are going up, and then you've got the amount of sales that are going up. So you basically got here in not here, but in Vancouver, you've got new listings going up, resales go in the opposite direction, which is kind of what you want. And then basically you've got resales in the Fraser Valley going the opposite direction massively. Are these those types of communities that people fled to, because they were working from home and all of that stuff, which I've been saying and beating that drum, like rural Ontario, Vancouver Island, all these commuter belt areas and not even commuter places, just places near to the big cities where people thought, you know what, it doesn't matter. We'll go 2 hours away from where we work because we're going to be working from home. I mean, come on, Cindy. We're going to be working from home. I said Cindy because no, wait. What am I on about? I was saying Barbie's called Cindy, but I don't think she is Barbie and Ken. But anyway, I don't know what I was thinking with that. But anyway, with these rural penny stock markets, they're going to see massive volatility, I think, over this year. And I think that's what we're beginning to see. And then you can see in Calgary, resales higher than new listings, but new listings have gone up substantially as well. So, still a seller's market, as I think they say. And then basically they're saying that Alberta is an exception. Um, with its major markets tightening, Calgary new listings grew 63.3% in February, while sales advanced even larger, 80% at the same time. Edmonton saw new listings rise 13.7% from last year, while sales climbed 41% higher. Alberta real estate had been left out over the rally over the past few years, but it's making up for time. And I think partly what that is again just people speculating, getting into speculation and saying, "Oh, the oil prices are high, so I'm going to buy a house in Alberta," and they just don't understand what's going on really at all. And a lot of those people will be from Toronto and Vancouver, and it's like buying a stock and just you're buying it purely on news and you're not digging into any of the fundamentals. So I think those people will really get burned. But I really see this as kind of sort of the top of the market, as I've been saying, because once you start to see everybody piling into the riskiest markets in the country, you kind of know this is case closed and we're really, really at the end, we're at the top, because that's exactly what you see in the stock market. Towards the end of a bull run, you start to see the riskiest assets start to fly because basically people are looking for some sort of bargain. They're overlooking fundamentals based on what's happened over the past couple of years, the recency bias. And it's incredibly interesting. So Albert, oh yeah, we just went through that. But basically it tells you um, demand supply conditions, where markets are. So Fraser Valley is headed down into a balanced market now. And Vancouver is heading towards there as well. Toronto is heading towards there. Calgary and Edmonton and Montreal, not so much. And those are the more affordable markets. And I think a lot of people are just kind of brainwashed and think, hey, you know what? If we just go into cheaper markets, we're taking less risk. Well, yeah, those people will get burnt, but nevertheless, they'll continue to do that. So incredibly interesting stuff there on the housing market. So now I'm going to dig into this, and it's just incredibly emotional. So now we're going on to Russia and Ukraine and the controversial part of this video. So basically, this is Daily Mail drumming up the emotions as much as they can. Some of the graphic they use, I'm not even going to put on here because it gets really, really bad. And it's basically got Zelensky warns millions could die if world waits for World War III, like they're waiting for World War III. So but anyway, I'm not going to go through this article. It's mostly just FUD, and quite frankly, I know obviously there are elements to this article that are true, obviously. But the thing is, they're trying to drum up people's emotions massively, and I just want to outline: I don't support war. I don't support the war in Yemen. I don't support the war in Ukraine. And the people who I stand with are the people of Ukraine and the people of Russia that are caught up in all this mess. And really, you can't leave Russian people out of this as well, because they are falling victim to this mess as well. And I don't really know enough about what's going on over there to even put a position. And but I don't support either sides. I don't support war. And there is wars that are going on around the world. It's not just Russia and Ukraine. Yet that is where they're directing everybody's attention. And I think the reason they're doing that is just because it's in Europe, it's close by, it's enough that it's going to be hard hitting, that it's going to impact Europe. Obviously, it's impacted the financial markets, especially. But we have to ask the question, why are they just continuing to stick with this when there are other conflicts going on in the world? And this is just all over the news now, like bye bye cerveza sickness and hello everything about Russia and Ukraine. So we're going to get on to this, and it was actually sent to me by a subscriber, and I didn't really know about this. And it's incredibly. So I'm going to blow this up so you can see it. But basically, it's about Azov Battalion, which is a neo-Nazi right-wing organization, and I'm not trying to say that the Ukraine are in the wrong position or anything like that. I don't have a position. But what I'm trying to illustrate here is Ukraine is not is being painted to be like hero, like the Ukraine government is being painted as the heroic government in all this mess. But let's dig into this and let's see what's been going on since 2014 within the Ukraine. So, Azov Battalion, somebody sent this me, and they basically said, "Luke, you need to look at this because you're not gonna believe it." And I didn't believe it, but here it is. So, Azov is a right-wing extremist, neo-Nazi, formerly paramilitary unit of the National Guard of Ukraine. So, first of all, they're actually part of the National Guard of Ukraine currently, right now. So, the weapons that are being sent to Ukraine from coming from the West, some of those weapons are going into the hands of neo-Nazi groups. And Azov is not the only group which is operating in the eastern parts of Ukraine, and they've been fighting since 2014 with the Russian-backed separatists. Now, I don't believe either side is right in this equation, but why is this not in the news? Why is this not in the news that weapons are being sent from the West and possibly ending up in the hands of neo Nazi rebels that even the White House actually said was a terrorist organization? And doesn't that put the irony on places like Canada, who were essentially branding their own citizens terrorists? And now Justin Trudeau is sending aid, military aid, to actual terrorists. And obviously, this is a small part, and it's a very small part. That's what you've got to remember. And I'm not saying that the Ukraine is in the wrong position or anything of the like, but what I'm saying is there is incredibly it's just not as cut and dry as the media is making out. That's what I'm meaning to say. So it's just insane. And yeah, I can't believe it. So Anthony, you're making content as well. That's great. We need more people in this space. We don't have enough people that are making content like this. So I think that's fantastic. Go check him out. And that's great. Keep going, and let us know what your videos are about in the chat as well. And leave a comment on the video afterwards so I can check out your channel. and subscribe to it. So anyway, Azov is a right-wing extremist group, former paramilitary group unit of the National Guard of Ukraine, based in, I can't even pronounce these names, in the Azov Sea coastal region. Azov initially formed as a volunteer militia in May 2014 and has since been fighting Russian separatist forces in the Donbass War. It saw its first combat experience in recapturing Mariupol from pro-Russian separatists in June 2014. In 2014, the regiment gained attention after allegations of torture and war crimes, as well as neo-Nazi sympathies and usage of associated symbols by the regiment, as seen in their logo, featuring the Wolf's Angel, one of the original symbols used by the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich, or Reich. Representatives of the Azov battalion say the symbol is an abbreviation for the slogan, I don't even know what that is, Ukrainian for national idea, and deny any connection with Nazism. In 2014, a spokesman for the regiment said around 10-20% of the unit were neo-Nazis. In 2018, a provision in an appropriations bill passed by the United States Congress blocked military aid to Azov on the grounds of its white supremacist ideology. In 2015, a similar ban on aid to the group had been overturned by Congress. Members of the regiment come from 22 countries and various backgrounds. So it it this is incredibly interesting, isn't it? And why isn't this being brought up? You have to ask yourself, because essentially this is a neo-Nazi group and they were blocked aid in the past, but I'm sure that it's getting handed to them now because the aid is being sent to Ukraine. And what I'm trying to say is it is not as cut and dry as the media is making out, that the Ukrainian government are heroes because they essentially adopted this organization, as we're going to see right here. So in October 2019, members of the US House of Representatives from the Democratic Party requested that the Azov battalion and two other far right groups be classified as foreign terrorist organization by the US State Department, citing recent acts of right-wing violence such as the Christchurch mosque shootings earlier that year. The request spurred protests by Azov supporters in Ukraine. So let's go on and let's look at the current status of this neo-Nazi force in the Ukraine. Ukraine decided to turn all volunteer battalions, both the territorial defense battalions associated with the armed forces and the special task patrol police of the interior ministry, into regular units of the Ukrainian armed forces and the National Guard, respectively. Azov is one of the latter. So Azov, this neo-Nazi group, is part of the Ukrainian National Guard. Like, it's literally right here. So this is just not as cut and dry as the mainstream media is basically saying, and I just think it's such hypocrisy, especially with all the stuff that happened in Iraq. And I just don't agree with any war. I just want to make that clear, and I'm not picking sides. I don't believe either side is correct. In January 2015, Azov Battalion was officially upgraded to a regiment, and its structures took a definitive shape. A mobilization center and training facility was established in Kiev, in former industrial complex ATEC, for selection and examination, and the personnel, composed by volunteers from all over Ukraine, has to pass through a screening and vetting process quite similar to the Army's mobilization procedures. So this is a legitimate organization, and it's been made legitimate by the Ukrainian government. So what does that paint a picture of you now of the Ukrainian government? Because it's not so heroic as people are making out. So I just find it insane that the media is creating this story like Russia is in the wrong, Ukraine is in the right, and it's just that cut and dry. And we're just going to show you all the propaganda basically from the viewpoint. And we don't know if any of what they're telling us is true, quite frankly. None of this is verifiable unless you're actually there. And I don't believe anything that I read from either side, from Russia or from the mainstream media in the West, because they're clearly both pumping out propaganda on this war in the Ukraine right now, and that is um, very important to mention. So recruits are then assigned to the combat units of the regiments or to support and supply units where they undertake intensive combat drills trainings, reconnaissance and explosive ordnance disposal EOD units are considered the elite of Azov and are manned by the most experienced personnel, typically former Ukrainian army, special forces, or similar. Since 2015, the battalion has upgraded to regimental status, and Azov is now officially called Special Operations Detachment with combat duties focused on reconnaissance, counter reconnaissance, EOD, interdiction. Don't know if I got that right. And special weapons operations. The regiment, the only territorial defense unit of its size in the NGU, is organized into, and then basically it tells you what it's organized into. But basically, what we can see from that, guys, is basically that we are just absolutely being not misled. I think that's the wrong word, but we're not being told the whole truth. They're not telling us the whole story of what's going on. And there is obviously some sort of, I don't know what to call it, but within the Ukrainian government, they have made this neo Nazi group which has the SS symbol. You know, the White House was actually trying to get them branded as a terrorist organization, and the Ukrainian government decided to adopt them, and they've been fighting against the pro-Russian forces in the Donbass area. So basically, it is just insane because I just I'm in disbelief about all this stuff because you know you just cannot believe what's going on in the world right now. You cannot believe that we get told just a small snippet of the story. So I think it's just kind of nuts, really nuts, and really I just don't know what to think anymore when it comes to this Ukraine Russia thing. Now, one thing is definitely for sure, which I will say, is I think that, well, I'm hopeful anyway, that NATO and the West doesn't get involved. Because as much as people would like that to happen, if that does happen, then we really would have World War III. And now I really think it would just be all over because the weapons that all NATO countries, Russia and China, and all these other countries that oppose the West have is a lot, and it would destroy the world. The first nuke would be the end, essentially. So it I don't think it will happen because I don't think anybody is that stupid yet, although it doesn't give me any confidence when you've got people like Biden and Trudeau in charge because Biden, does he really care that much about the next 20 years? Because he ain't going to be around. Let's face it. He's, maybe got another 10 years left in him, if that. And that's just going on the law of averages. So, I mean, you really got to question the integrity of all these politicians, but I don't think they're that stupid. And I don't think Putin is that stupid either. So I really think it's just kind of insane. And somebody's saying that the Nazi element of Ukraine is very small. And it is, as I said earlier, very small. But the thing is, this that we basically in 2015, 2016 denied military aid, and now we're sending it to the Ukraine, and that military aid is undoubtedly going to end up in the hands of some of these rebels that aren't rebels, they're actually part of the National Guard. And it's not just Azov, guys, there are other battalions that are extreme right wing in Ukraine in that region. So there's a lot of nuance with that region in particular in the east of Ukraine that we could probably explore for a long time, and I really don't know anything about. But we're just not being told the whole picture of what's going on. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this stream. Please like the video. This will, oh, I was putting my thumb over here. Please like the video. It'll help get it out to the rest of the people. Again, this might get taken down by YouTube, but if it does, I'm going to appeal it because this is all on Wikipedia. You know, I'm not making this up. This isn't misinformation. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this live stream, and I will see you in the next one. Leave me a comment below what you want to see in the next live stream, and we will see you there. Take care of yourself. Peace.